Hi DIYers, this is Michael from AlarmGrid, and today I'm going to be showing you how to reset the installer code on an Interlogix Simon XTi or Simon XTi-5 to factory default, or to the default setting, which is 4321, by the way. The default installer code on these systems is 4321, so we know that right away. But if you've changed your code, then you might want to get it back to the default of 4321. So why do you want to keep your installer code at the defaults? It's so you do not get locked out of programming. Keeping your installer code at the default does not present any security risk. I'll be showing you that in a little bit. By keeping it at the default, you can always look it up later in case you forget it. So that way you can get back into programming. Like I said, there's no security risk by keeping it at the default. It's just a smart practice. And we pretty much recommend that for any security system, keeping the installer code at the default so you can get into programming. And I will show you a few things on the system here as I go through the video. But so with this system, there's actually two codes. There's the installer code and there's the dealer code. And interestingly, they actually share the same default of 4321. And the only way that these codes can ever be the same is by having them at that factory default, both at 4321. Because if I change one of those codes, say I change it to 3333 or something, and then I try to change it back to 4321, I'm not going to be able to if another code is sharing that is already using that code, that entry. So if my dealer code's still at 4321 and I change my installer code, then I'm not going to be able to change it back to 4321 unless I factory default the system. I know that's a lot of information to take in, but it's just that the main thing to say is if you change your installer code or your dealer code, the only way you're getting it back, both of them back to 4321 at the same time, is to factory default the system. And that process, just so you know, involves powering down the system and holding down a reset button as the system is powered back on. And just to show you, the reset button is right there. It actually does a little refresh the screen. That's actually a quick way to reboot your system almost. It does a quick little refresh and it comes right back by pressing this button on the left side after you take off this little cover. So that is the reset button that you would use for resetting your system. And just to show you, I do want to show you that we have the code at the default right now. And this is also how you would change the code. I'm going to show you how you would go and change the code if you did change it and then needed to change it back. Because the main question of this video is, how do I get my installer code back to default? Well, you need to get into programming, to access codes menu, and change the code back manually. So we're at the main screen of our Simon XTi. And if you have a Simon XTi-5, it's exactly the same, follows the same process. And we're going to click the gear icon in the bottom right corner. And we're going to scroll down using the arrow on the right side of the screen, the down arrow. It's going to go all the way. And we're going to go into programming. And then it's going to ask us for a code. What we want to enter in here is our installer code, which is also the dealer code. And you apparently have to enter it very fast because it kicks us out right away. So let's not mess around. Let's get right into this programming. And then 4, 3, 2, 1. And we enter the code. And then we have to click OK to confirm it. And now we're in programming. So there's access codes right there in the upper left corner. If we choose that, then we can change the dealer code, we can change the installer code. And the reason we have access to the dealer code is because we actually entered using the dealer code, because like I said, they share the same default, 4321. And I'm actually not going to change the installer code right now. The reason I'm not going to is because I don't want to have them away from their default, and I don't want to have to do a factory reset of the system. So we're not changing ours, because if I were to change them, I would have to factory reset to get them back to 4321 for both of them to be on there. That's the only way that they can be on there. So, and you see our master code is 1234. So you'll see that as I arm the system, because I do want to show you that this is not a security risk to keep the installer code or the dealer code at their defaults. So we're leaving our codes the same. We're going to get back to the main screen by pressing close in the upper right corner. And now we're at the main screen here. I'm going to arm the system, and let's do arm all. And it's going to give us some arming, give us a countdown here, because we're leaving the house right now. We're leaving the office, wherever we are. But let's cancel arming. It is going to ask us for a code. So if we were doing this, then this is the same screen we would get. And we do have to be quick about it because, again, it will kick us out. So let's try again. Let's try our default dealer code and installer code 4321. And you see that nothing happens. We didn't get anywhere. So let's go back out because it kicked us out. And then let's try it again. So let's try our master code this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see this time it does successfully disarm the system, because we can disarm using the master code, but we can't disarm using the installer code or the dealer code. So As to reiterate, keeping the code at its default does not present a security risk, and you do want to keep your code at the default because otherwise you might forget the code and then you wouldn't be able to get back into programming. So if you keep it at the default, even if you forget 4321, you can't remember 4321, well, you can look it up and the code will be there and you'll be able to get back into programming successfully. So first of all, don't change your installer code, but if you do change it, then it's that process that I showed you earlier. You go into programming. I'll just do it one more time. We go down to programming. And we click enter, and then we use you do have to have the installer code to change it. So 4321, okay, and then we do access codes. And the only way to change the code if you didn't have the code, you weren't able to get into programming, you would have to do that factory reset process that I mentioned earlier. That involves powering down the system and then holding down the button as it's powered on. That will reset both the installer code and the dealer code. There is one thing to note. There is a phone lock setting that is set to off by default, but if it is on, if the phone lock setting is on, then it will not reset the dealer code with the factory reset. It will reset the installer code, but it won't reset the dealer code. So that phone lock setting is something to keep in mind. It is off by default, so you normally won't have to deal with it. You normally won't have to worry about it. But if it is on and you try to factory reset, it won't reset the dealer code. So that's just something to keep in mind, something extra for the Simon XTi and Simon XTi-5. So that is how you restore the installer code to default on an Interlogix Simon XTi or an Interlogix Simon XTi-5. If you have any questions about the Interlogix systems or about alarm monitoring services in general, send an email to support@alarmgrid.com. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up below to like the video, and remember to subscribe to our channel for updates on future videos. We hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.